evening. It is Wednesday evening, and this is your Wednesday Wellness. It's your Wednesday Wellness. That's all it is, really. Hello. Thank you for being here. How are you? How's your day been? How's your week been? Since we were last here last week, how are you doing? So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Guthrie. I am a psychotherapist and coach. We do these Wednesday Wellnesses in conjunction with Newark and Sherwood District Council. We started them way back in October last year. We figured that people were going into a difficult winter and we wanted to offer some resources to help people through this. Okay, we have 2 more shows left after this one, so 3 including this one, and then we're going to end. So you can get on, and I can get on actually with our summer and enjoying ourselves. Everything we do here in Wednesday Wellness is around mental health and well-being, kind of all areas of mental health. When I deliver in private practice, I deliver from a very holistic standpoint, and this is what they are. So tonight we're going to look at, unusually, we're going to look at music, which I touched on yesterday in one of the lockdown lives, water and mental health, and also black and white thinking. I'm aware we've done black and white thinking before, but I want to do it again because I see so much of it. I see so much of this very, very polarized thinking in the world around us. Let me just turn my fan on. I don't know why I'm sat here in a fleece. It's going to get really hot. So, welcome. Let's begin. Oh, and don't forget that you can ask any questions that you want to. If you've got questions, you want to feed them in, then please do that, because that would be amazing if you were asking live questions and I got to answer those as well. Okay, I don't mind being put on the spot, so please fire away. This is your space, and I am your resource. So use me in a way that is helpful to you. Okay, you could help me a little bit by sharing. There's a little button at the bottom of your screen that says share. If you just share it, it means that it goes out to more people, and this amazing resource gets to more people. Okay, so I would really, really value if you did that. Okay. Evening on the feed to everybody is on the feed that's saying good evening, hi everybody, and thank you for tuning in. We're going to start with music. Music sounds fairly obvious, really, doesn't it? It's like, why are we shocked that music is good for us? We know it's good for us. We know that it can lift us up. We know that it can irritate us. We know that it can make us work out better. We know that we all have playlists and at which point we want to do the housework too. I remember years ago walking. I was on a training course in London, and I put my headphones in and I was going through London, and I think I was listening to Michael Bublé at the time, and it wasn't Michael Bublé. It was something along that genre, which I really like, and I just felt uplifted. There was something around the way I stood and I walked, and I was almost like marching through London. And I remember then distinctly thinking, wow, music is so powerful. I just remember back when I was a teenager, and I remember standing about, how old would I be? 14, 15, stood doing my own ironing, because I did, with a pair of headphones in, listening to bands like U2 and Human League and The Cure, and being quite touched and quite emotional by some of the songs that I was listening to. And even now, when I listen to those songs, they take me right back into my middle teenage years. So I really wanted to look at music because it is really important. And actually, what's really important is that we use it in the right way. Okay, so I have a question for you to begin with. You can start feeding this in whilst I'm talking. Give me 2 tracks, one that lifts you up, one that evokes a very strong emotion. So I'm going to leave the strong emotion fairly broad. It's up to you what the strong emotion is, and actually you don't have to share it if you don't want to. Okay? So we know that it's good for you, so let's look at some of the benefits of listening to music. Improves mood. Studies show that listening to music can benefit overall well-being, help regulate emotions, and create happiness and relaxation in every day. Reduces stress. Listening to relaxing music, generally considered to have a slow tempo, low pitch, and no lyrics, has been shown to reduce stress and anxiety in healthy people and in people undergoing medical procedures, e.g. surgery, dental, colonoscopy, I think that says. Lessens anxiety. In studies of people with cancer, listening to music combined with standard care reduced anxiety compared to those who received standard care alone. Aren't these just incredible benefits that we get from music? I think it feels like it's something that's around, but I don't think it's something that we consider. Okay, and I'm going to go on to a little fact that I shared yesterday, but I'm going to share it again in terms of what can happen when we listen to the wrong type of music. Improves exercise. Studies suggest that music can enhance aerobic exercise, boost mental and physical stimulation, and increase overall performance. I also read somewhere that if you listen to music with deep bass, it can help you exercise more, which is when I'm in the gym, that's kind of my genre. So I like a deep bass. Oh, no, something about a deep bass, and it's very good for the mind in terms of stimulation, makes us think better. So there we go. Improves memory. Research has shown that the repetitive elements of rhythm and melody help our brains form patterns that enhance memory. In a study of stroke survivors, listening to music helped them experience more verbal memory, less confusion, and better focused attention. Amazing. Eases pain. In studies of patients recovering from surgery, those who listened to music before, during, or after surgery had less pain and more overall satisfaction compared with patients who did not listen to music as part of their care. Amazing. Evening all. Let's just put Enya is my meditation music. Classical music calms me. Opera in Venice made him cry. Yes, it did. What else? What other music do? So the question was, what music lifts you, like really lifts you? What would be your go-to dance floor music, and what evokes a really strong emotion? Improves cognition. So cognition, without being patronizing, is our ability to think and process and think through situations. So imagine cognition, imagine a series of cogs. If the cogs aren't working, then we can't go through the thinking process. So cognition is our ability to go through a thinking process. Listening to music can also help people with Alzheimer's recall seemingly lost memories and even help maintain some mental abilities. We kind of know this, and I've seen this done quite a lot, where people with Alzheimer's will respond to music. If you play an instrument, then people with Alzheimer's have quite often been recalled as playing, so being able to play, although they might forget people around them, the ability to play a tune on their given instrument is still there, which again is like fascinating and gives us so much information about the mind. Helps children with autistic spectrum disorder. Studies of children with autism spectrum disorder who receive music therapy showed improvement in social responses, communication skills, and attention skills. Last one on this section, soothes premature babies. Live music and lullabies may impact vital signs, improve feeding behaviors and sucking patterns in premature infants, and may increase prolonged periods of quiet, alert states. So if you imagine with a premature baby, their fight or flight system may be activated because they're trying to survive. And actually what we want is for them to be peaceful and calm. So what they're saying there is, if we play them soothing music, then we can kind of enhance those periods of calm, which I think again is fascinating. So Ben has put Strong Emotion, The Messenger by Linkin Park and or Gortoz, Aran by Dennis. I don't know that name, Ben, sorry. Yep, absolutely, Maureen. Maureen's put music can also trigger sadness, association with the past, very emotional. So what happens with music is, in the same way that we do with smells and sounds sometimes, imagine a teacher that clicked their fingers at you, and then when you were 45, somebody clicked their fingers and it evoked that emotion straight back to being a teacher that clicked their fingers. But you're quite right. We end up with neuroconnectors in our minds, so we create a little connector when we're going through I don't know, the classic example on this, the one I used yesterday, was a first dance at a wedding. The first dance, very special moment, two people arm in arm, and they play their favourite tune, and it becomes their song. Then if they separate, then 10 years after the separation, the music comes on, and it can evoke that same feeling. I had something happen to a client, and when it happened, there was a piece of music, and whenever that client hears that piece of music, they are taken back to that point, which is very distressing for them, or it was more distressing before we processed the event. So absolutely, you're dead right, Maureen. It is very, very, it can be triggering in sad ways as well. Once we are aware of that, we can maybe sometimes avoid the song. We can't avoid it if it's on the radio, but we can avoid playing it. What else we got here? Uplifting equals Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Very, very uplifting, that one, Ben. Rolling by Limp Bizkit. Both not for dancing, but more give a mini surge of excitement and energy. How fantastic. Love that. That's amazing. Strong emotions for me. Linkin Park. Listened to a specific album a lot through difficult times. Thanks for that. I mean, that's a really good link there, because sometimes if we listen to music during difficult times, and we tend to listen over and over again. I remember going through a breakup many years ago, and please don't judge me on this, I like this artist. I remember listening to, I'm not even sure that I can tell you. I remember listening to Engelbert Humperdinck, and there were songs in his repertoire that I still remember the words to, and they have the ability of triggering memories, but the emotions now kind of cleared itself, so it's okay. So yeah, we tend to listen to music through difficult times. It's a place we turn to, but then we create these neuroconnectors in our mind. So yeah, there you go. Something else you know about me, Engelbert Humperdinck. Who knew? He's amazing, and he's got such an amazing voice. I love 90s dance music. Still Waters Run Deep by the Four Tops. Very emotional for me. What a beautiful song. Excuse me. Right. Focus. Classical music is a winner for helping you focus. Music that has a tempo of 60 beats per minute increases the efficiency of the brain in processing information. The best way to use it is to have it playing softly in the background as you get on with your tasks. Softly, because we don't want it to be disturbing or distracting in any way. Expression. The next time you're finding it hard to talk about or express your emotions, try turning to music for help. Creating your own music, whether simply strumming a guitar or composing lyrics to a song, can help you express and process your emotions. It's more about how it makes you feel than how it sounds. Remember, no one ever has to hear your music if you don't want them to. So we kind of know this through a lot of artists. A lot of artists express through their lyrics and through their poetry. Sometimes they express through the music they write and the notes that they use. Social connection. Music can stop you from feeling lonely or isolated, whether it's sharing playlists with your friends or meeting new like-minded people. Meeting new like-minded people at your favorite band's next gig. Music connects people. It absolutely does, because if we, I don't know, I still love Yazoo, for example. So if somebody started to talk to me about Yazoo, I'd be like, oh yeah, I love Yazoo, and I remember the 80s, and I remember it distinctly. So you end up with that connection. Creativity. Did you know that listening to music allows your brain to think creatively? So whether it's a creative project you need to complete or some new ways to improve your mood, try some different types of music and see what works best for you. Relaxation. This one's not going to surprise anybody. Relaxation, okay. So it's no huge scientific breakthrough, but it's worth repeating. Music can help you relax. If you choose the right kind of music, change in something comfy clothes, put your feet up, and it's a safe bet that you'll feel relaxed in no time. When you're choosing relaxing music, really don't just go for something classical and kind of slow beat and low tempo. Don't necessarily do that, because that might not hit the spot. It could be sounds, it could be the sound of rain, it could be the sound of dolphins, it could be the sound of a rainforest. There's so many different sounds, so it might not be music that helps you relax. It could be other sounds that help you relax. So experiment with that a little bit, but don't just assume that it's going to be some sort of classical music. Just a little one on classical music. It's not always that relaxing. Sometimes it's very, very uplifting and very reviving, so to speak. Oh, thank you for that, Maureen. So I have a question for you on the back of Maureen's comment. Often, not just the music and melodies, the lyrics do it for me. So this is kind of like Kaftan Mar albums also. I'm right there with that one, man. You know, on certain ambience in the house, Kaftan Mar albums absolutely kill it for me. I love it. So I've got a question for you based on Maureen's comment. And the question is, do you listen to melodies? Do you listen to melodies? Do you listen to the lyrics? Or is it a combination of both? So when I hear music now, I listen to, putting my hand up like I'm in a classroom, I listen to melodies. Melodies, rhythms, I get a feeling from music, but I don't necessarily listen to lyrics. When I was going through a breakup, I was definitely listening to lyrics, which is an interesting shift. But yeah, definitely I listen to melodies. I get a feeling from a piece of music, and then it lifts me somewhat. Or there's somebody I listen to on Facebook who's just incredible. Her music, it feels like it penetrates my skin. And she's very, very melodic. She uses the Tibetan singing bowls in different frequencies, but she's amazing. Carpenters is the Satyrs. Yeah, Carpenters is always good for a cry, I'll say. Agreed. Listen to more classic FM. I'm also of late to relax, but love any dance tracks. It's funny how your music taste changes as you get older as well. I must put, music can be a way of escaping what goes around you, and you can fully immerse yourself. Absolutely, I agree with that. What I like to do is I have a pair of noise cancelling headphones, and I put those in, and then I can literally escape. Sometimes, if I'm working with people and they are in environments where they're with people that they don't want to be, this is particularly relevant over the last year. Then what I would do is I'd recommend that they put headphones in, because there's this thing with headphones where people put headphones in and we back off and we leave them alone. But also with headphones in, we really can escape. And we can escape into things like a podcast or music or anything like that. So noise cancelling, because then you don't hear anything in the world around you, and you have a perfect excuse. A perfect excuse not to be heard. Giving away my secrets. I always put on a pair of noise cancelling headphones. Where do musical tastes come from? Oh, I would love to love jazz, but it's not for me. On that one, Maureen, I would say to you, try different areas of jazz. And I say that because there are certain areas of jazz that do not do me. What's his name? Not Michael Bublé, the other guy, same kind of age, Jamie Cullum. Jamie Cullum's music does not touch me whatsoever. It's too abrasive. It's too abrasive for me. But there are other areas of jazz that I absolutely love. So if you have access to something like Spotify, then go on Spotify and search for some smooth jazz. There's another genre that I absolutely love, and you hear it very, very seldom. I'm not sure what it is. Somebody's asked me what my upbeat song is. Can't remember. I'm not good at remembering songs. If I'm in a club and a song comes on, I would be one of those that go, yes, tune. But I can't remember. I can't necessarily remember the name. There's one that's just popped into my head, and it's Lola's tune, Lola's theme. Popular about 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 maybe even 15 years ago. absolute belter, absolutely belter. Jamie Cullum, yeah, it was Jamie Cullum. Yeah, don't like that. Don't like Jamie Cullum stuff. Sorry, Jamie, if you're watching, please don't take that as an insult. Motivation. You need to you need to vacuum the house, study, get some exercise, but you just can't get off the couch. Use your favorite music as a motivational force. Crank up the volume on a killer tune, and chances are you'll find that it's much easier to get started. I completely agree with that. Music can really, really lift me into those places. And if I don't know if I'm deciding I'm going to do some batch cooking, I'm going to stand in the kitchen, then I turn up the music really, really loud. If you're feeling a little bit cranky or edgy or just a little bit off, then don't play music that's too loud, and don't play music that is too basic, because it's just going to aggravate you. So remember this. So that's just, but I know what your upbeat song is. It's got swear words in it. It has. There's a song by Lily Allen, and I can't tell you what it is because it's got swear words in it. And I'm being sponsored by Newcastle District Council, and that would be bad form. But it's a song that I absolutely love. Maybe one day I'll share it with you all. So music, we have to make sure that music is of a similar tempo to where we are at. So imagine that I think we're almost 70% water, 65, 70% water. So we have vibrations. We have vibrations in our eardrums, and we have vibrations that go through our body. If we listen to music, if I'm in a low mood, for example, and I listen to music that is too bouncy or too edgy or too bassy or too rock, then it's gonna jar with my current vibrations, and I'm going to kind of go like that, and it's not going to be very nice. If you want music to uplift you, then choose a genre that is just slightly above where you're at. For example, when I go on Spotify or any of the music streaming channels I use, I would search for a something smooth jazz, smooth classics, smooth 70s, smooth 80s. And then you can usually find something that is within your genre. If you're really high and you want to come down a little bit, then go the opposite way. But try not to create too much difference, because it will just annoy you. Sometimes, if our heads are really busy, and they have been busy a lot over the last year, we want music to fit in with where we're at, but not necessarily jar us too much. Okay? Oh, Depeche Mode. Good call. I love that band. Not heard them for ages. Da, 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 da. Jamie Cullum. Yeah, Lily Allen. I'm not going there. We can't do that. We cannot play the Lily Allen song. Ballads are my thing, but my family find them depressing. But they're your thing. Own your own music. Play your own ballads and enjoy your own ballads, and don't be judged by other people. I'm just pressing my share button because it's time to share. I wonder if you would like to share as well. Just saying, just saying. There is that phrase, isn't there? If music be the food of love, play on, or something similar. Absolutely, it really is. I mean, it connects people. It's the food of love. It's like sometimes it's like the backdrop to life, isn't it? Because it's everywhere around us. I remember working with a client many years ago, and I asked this particular client to describe me his house. I'm not sure why I wanted him to describe me his house. I think I wanted to get a sense of where he was at. I said, describe me your house. So he described it to me, and I said, tell me about the furniture, what's it made out of, what's on the floor, what's on the ceiling, what colour are the walls. And he described everything to me, and I sat with him and I went, I don't know why I said this. And I went, it feels really quiet. And he went, it is. It is usually. It's always really, really quiet. There's never anything on. And I was like, oh, why not? And he went, I don't know. Don't put the telly on, don't put the radio on, it's quite quiet. And I said, maybe just have the radio on in the background. Just have it playing gently in the background, because sometimes if we do that, and particularly if we're living alone and we're a little bit low, having the radio on in the background can feel like you've got company. And sometimes you just find yourself chuckling along to something the DJ has said. And he came back a couple of weeks later and he was like, oh my goodness, what a difference. He says, it's like the house is now has a presence. It's like, and I went, yeah, because there's sound in there. We have sound, whereas before it felt, by your description, I still don't know how I got that, it felt very, very quiet. So music can fill voids, music can fill spaces, it helps us connect. I saw something the other day on marketing, and they were saying that music is going to be used more and more in terms of branding. So brands will have their own piece of music that will immediately connect us to that brand. When you think about it, the big M Archers, so I'm talking about McDonald's, obviously. What's the tune that comes into your head when I say McDonald's? There's a tune there, isn't there? It's in my head, and no, I'm not going to sing it to you because that would be excruciating. Maurice Book, music can also block out thoughts. Absolutely, it can. It can really help distract us or take us away, and sometimes, you know, we need that. So love that. You're busy tonight on this feed. I love it. I really, really do. Honestly, I really do value your input onto this feed. It's really important. Remember, after tonight, we only have 2 left. 2 more shows. 2 more shows. The lockdown lives finish on Saturday. We're going weekly with those. Every Friday I'll do a mini lockdown live, but these finish in 2 weeks. The lockdown lives finish on Saturday. So yeah. Right, I wanted to look at the connection between water and mental health. Why water and mental health? Because again, I think it's one of those undervalued resources that we have at our fingertips that we don't understand. We just don't understand it very well. This bottle is full, and that's the 3rd fill of today, but it is full now. So I've drunk 2 litres of water so far today. I will probably drink half of that before I retire to my bed. So, multiple studies point to a link between dehydration and higher risk of anxiety. In most of these studies, the effect of dehydration on anxiety levels was mild but significant. More research is needed to understand the effects of hydration on mood, mental health, and thinking abilities. So lower risk of anxiety and depression. Over 3,000 adults who drank more water had a lower risk of anxiety and depression than those who drank less water. Though the connection between dehydration and depression was stronger, researchers found that anxiety was higher in those who didn't drink enough water. I'm going to repeat that last bit. Anxiety was higher in those who didn't drink enough water. How fascinating is that? I didn't know that until reading today. I knew how good water was for us, but I'd never seen that link there. Mood improves with more water intake. Researchers explored how increasing or decreasing water intake affected mood in people with different drinking water habits. They found that people who usually drink lots of water felt less calm, less content, and more tense when the water intake dropped. So I do find that I drink about 2 litres a day, between 2 or 3. If I forget, because I do forget because I'm human, then my mood can definitely take quite a shift because of that. So let us continue. Tension increases with dehydration. Researchers, no, right, not reading that part. They found that lower water intake was associated with greater tension, depression, and confusion. For me, if we are 67% water and that we become dehydrated, then our ability to function fluidly becomes reduced. Try this as a little trick, because I do this often. If you're feeling tired, two tricks. If you're feeling tired or hungry, if you're feeling tired, drink a pint of water. I promise you within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you will be buoyant again. If you're feeling hungry, drink a good half pint of water, and usually within about 15 minutes, the hunger will have passed. Try that, okay? Particularly with the tiredness, because I do find with tiredness, sometimes I get these waves of tiredness that completely take me, and then I go, oh, I'm dehydrated. I haven't drank enough water, and it's not tiredness, it's just dehydration. So important. Are there any, can't say that. Are there any other connections between hydration and mood? Yes, the amount of water you drink can influence other aspects of your mood besides anxiety. Multiple studies have found a link between drinking water and these mental states: depression, confusion, and fatigue. Just talked about fatigue. It's also possible that your water intake, I found this fascinating as well, it's also possible that your water intake could influence your sleep. Research on this subject is mixed, but at least one study, trusted source, involving Chinese and US adults show that dehydration is associated with less sleep. So we know that if we've had too much alcohol and then we intersperse it with water, then the alcohol has less effect. We know that if we get drunk and then we drink loads of water, then we rehydrated and therefore less likely to get a hangover. For me, dehydration is something that we tackle all day long. It's not like getting to 5 o'clock and then drinking 2 pints of water. It kind of happens all day long. I'm taking this off because really warm. So let's move that mic. I have some questions that people have sent in as well. So let me know if you've got any comments on water. We know water, excuse me, but it's got to come off. I'm too warm. I've got a fan on. That is it. It's gone. It's summer. Oh, that's an interesting one, Emma. So Emma put, drinking water helped me quit smoking. Each time I craved a cigarette, I had a glass of water and it helped subside the craving. What a great idea. And I can absolutely see why that would happen. You're almost like replacing a habit with a habit, but you're replacing a habit with a really, really good habit. Oh, I think we should create a Wellness Wednesday group. I'll miss you all. you create a Wellness Wednesday group, and I might pop in every now and again. Singing at the top of your voice, playing music loud in the car. Music blots out thoughts. Love this, love this, love this. Don't understand that one. I'm not reading it. Yeah, so I have some questions there, but I don't want to do those questions just yet. I want to go back onto black and white thinking. And I know we did this a few weeks ago, but honestly, I see it so much in private practice that I wanted to highlight why black and white thinking can negatively impact your life, because it can. Let me explain firstly where black and white thinking comes from. It comes from comes from childhood. As everything else comes from childhood, it comes from childhood. And it comes from when we are developing our little minds, we want our primary carers to encourage us to discuss and debate and to talk about, and not do things like, broccoli, I hate broccoli, it's horrible, horrible. Because that's very polarized. And actually maybe broccoli roasted in the oven with a little bit of cheese on it might be nicer. Or maybe if it's chopped up and it's got some cheese through it, might be a little bit nicer for them. And it's just a way of introducing them. And what you're saying to them there is, no, you don't like it not raw, but you don't like it on its own, but you might like it with a bit of cheese. Instead of don't like it, love it. In the middle is the broccoli with a little bit of cheese on it. So that's an example of black and white thinking. We really want our primary carers to encourage our thoughts, is what we want. Okay, so I need to see the time. Black and white thinking can negatively impact your relationships. Your partner is the most wonderful person in the world until they are the worst. This cycle of love, hate, down, up, good, bad can be seriously stressful for any relationship. In some cases, these wild lows and highs can be a sign of something more serious than black and white thinking. And it says, like abuse for which you deserve support. But in the context of otherwise healthy relationships, black and white thinking can impact your comfort with each other and prevent a deeper bond based on acceptance. In family relationships and in friendships too, quickly changing from thinking a loved one is perfect to feeling they are awful can erode intimacy and trust. By seeing your loved one as either all good or all bad, you're not letting us see them for what they really are, a normal, fallible human being just like you. There's something in there about expectations as well, the expectations that we place onto people, and which is a little bit unfair because they're our expectations that we put on people. I've talked about that a lot. It can hurt your, excuse me, it can hurt your self-image. All of us have wondered if we are bad people or good people. In reality, most of us are somewhere in between, with both bad and good qualities. When you think in black and white terms, however, you risk being overly self-critical or refusing to see your faults. Black and white thinking can help you, can make you hypersensitive to others' opinions and make it difficult to accept criticism without deep insecurity. That can prevent you from genuine growth and self-compassion. I'm going to read that one again because I read it badly. Black and white thinking can help you can make you hypersensitive to others' opinions and make it difficult to accept criticism without deep insecurity. What it's saying there is, somebody might say I'm a really bad presenter, and I might go, yeah, I can see that, but I'm also good at this, or I can be good at that. So it's about being able to accept constructive criticism without it taking us under, so to speak, and without us seeing it as very, very bad. Or somebody saying your reading is terrible, and then me going, so that makes me a really, really bad person. Of course, it doesn't. There's a whole genre of things that I can do. It can hold you back from success. I like this one. Like all aspects of work, of life, work will have good days and bad days, and many days that are somewhere in between. But if you think in black and white terms, it's easy to internalize every failure and have unrealistic expectations of every success. Black and white thinking in our professional lives can make us abandon projects as mere bumps in the road, due to a feeling that they are inevitably doomed to fail. When we acknowledge that our professional lives, like every other aspect of our life, are complex and may have pluses and minuses, we enable ourselves to learn and grow towards success. So that's a little bit like, what can I use as an example? We have strengths, but we might go into a job role where there is a expectation that we can do all of these 6 areas here, and actually you might be really good at 5 of them, but you might be terrible at 1 of them. But that doesn't make you bad. But because of our primal system, well, then we focus on the bad one because that's the part that's going to keep us alive and survive. So it's really important that we pull this thinking back into the middle. We pull it back into the middle where there's this lovely grey sweet spot, and we are a combination of I don't even like the words good and bad. We are a combination of this huge spectrum of being very, very talented at something to being not so talented at something. And what a uncolourful world would it be if we were all the same, and we were all good at this section here and nobody was good at this section here. We all have different talents, we all have different strengths and weaknesses, because that allows us then to work in troops and tribes as the humans that we are. Excuse me. It can literally change how you feel. According to psychology research, thinking in binary terms can actually change the way we perceive the world, effectively conditioning us to miss nuance and always talking about the nuance. In a 2016 study, Pomona College researchers found that participants' perceptions of how someone was feeling changed depending on whether they were given whether they were thinking in black and white or more fluid categories. To understand emotion, by conditioning you to see things in more binary terms, black and white thinking can sometimes be a self-fulfilling prophecy, making it even harder to perceive nuance. The nuance that they talk about there is this sweet spot in the middle. One of my weaker areas is writing. One of my stronger areas is creating. That doesn't make me a bad person because I can't right, and we will live in a world that is very grammatically driven. It just means that my strengths are over here in a very, very creative world. But it can feel difficult across here sometimes because it is a very, very academic world we live in. Rose tinted glasses get in the way. I agree. I absolutely agree. They definitely do. Because there's an expectation and I guess we want to put rose tinted glasses on. And actually, I want you to take the glasses off and see things for reality. And that's not because I want you to see things in a negative way, but I want there to be a reality. Sometimes I have this conversation with people where they'll say, you're being pessimistic or you're being optimistic. And I'm like, I'm a realist. I try to speak in very, very real terms. But I can completely relate to that way of thinking, very aware of it. One side of BPD. Idealism versus realism. Oh, nice one, Maureen. Absolutely. Realism is the way forward. Realism is the way forward. High five. Was that it? Did I read all that? Well, everybody who's experienced the black and white thinking, to some extent, everybody experiences black and white thinking to some extent, extreme black and white thinking can also be a symptom of mental illness. For example, experience intense black and white thinking, which can in turn affect their perceptions of their relationships and others and themselves. While black and white thinking itself doesn't mean that you have borderline personality disorder or any other mental illness, it's definitely worth seeking out a therapist if you're having a difficult time or feeling distressed in any way because of it. So you would only go to see a therapist if your black and white thinking you felt was getting in your way of living your life, of having constructive and healthy relationships, of being able to hold down a job and be very productive and successful in your job by having relationships out of intimate relationships. It's very, very binary. And when people do this thing all the time with diet and going to the gym, it's like not going to the gym, not going to the gym, not going to the gym. I'm back at the gym and I'm back at the gym 5 days a week and everybody knows about it and everybody talks about it. And they go for 2 months and then that's it. They're off again for 2 years. And I'm like, maybe you could just go like 2 or 3 times a week, once or twice a week, and make it a more regular thing. What happens is when we go, I'm back on it, and I'm in 5 days a week, it is unsustainable. It's unsustainable to do that. Whereas if we're just going once or twice, 2 or 3 times, it makes it, there's more chance that we're going to maintain it if we do that. And that's what happens when we swing like this on this black and white pendulum that we sometimes live on, which a lot of people live on. Maureen, you've got yourself a job. Sorry. Do it. I'll show you how to use the platform. I'll show you how to use OBS, and you get nice lot of slides and everything. I'll give you some lessons. I'll dip in every now and again as a guest. Happy to. Not that I don't like being here. I just need some of my life back a little bit. So that's black and white thinking. What time are we at? I have to do that to see the time. Okay, so I've got some questions for you, but I'd like some questions off you lovely lot as well. Over the next 2 weeks, next week I really want to look at rolling out of lockdown in a really, really healthy way. So I really want to spend some time looking at that, how we can safely, healthily manage integrating ourselves back into the wider world. And I don't just mean going to Sainsbury's, I mean like maybe going to parties, maybe going to events, maybe going to the pub, maybe going out for meals, all of those things that are going to happen at some point this year. I want to spend some time really looking at that because I want you to, although we won't be doing this when it gets to the middle of summer, I want you to be okay with it. Okay, so we're going to do that next week. And then the week after, which is the last week, I really want to look at our highlights of our journey since October, but I want you to tell me what your highlights are. Feel free to message them in privately, but give me what your highlights were. Give me what the one thing that you remember about this whole journey, well, the one thing that you have definitely taken away, and we will relook at that. Okay, so I would really value you doing that. Thank you. But much better than they were. ML, just saying. How does social media, so somebody asked this, how does social media affect our mental health? So I've talked about this a few times. It affects our mental health because social media is a very, very perfect world. Particularly places, platforms like Instagram, is full of very perfect images and people with perfect lives and people with perfect bodies and people with beautiful cars. And on Facebook, Facebook's not quite as bad as that, but it is still very, very unrealistic. The other thing that can happen on Facebook, and I saw this over the last couple of days with the Meghan and Harry thing. We're not discussing Meghan and Harry, but I did see posts on Facebook that really shocked me. I have to say, they really shocked me because they felt very one-sided, and I'm well aware that everybody has an opinion, but it felt like people were going onto Facebook and putting their opinion out there, and there was no room for maneuver. Absolutely no room for maneuver. We have lost the ability to discuss. We have lost the ability to have a conversation around such a subject as that. Okay, so that's why it's unhealthy. There are unhealthy platforms. What I say about social media, I say this all the time, and I urge people to do this, is clean your social media platform up by unfollowing people that you feel don't bring anything to your world, or unfollow people that trigger you in some way. So I don't know, you look at their post and you feel like this little trigger and it's like, oh God, they're annoying me again, and unfollow them. You don't need to follow people that are having a physical effect on you. Just unfollow them. They won't know you've unfollowed them. Just unfollow them. There's a little button and it just says unfollow. All it means is you won't get them on your feed. You're not blocking them, you're not defriending them, you're just unfollowing. Clean your feed up, okay, and make it healthier. Follow more things like this. There is a million people out there doing the same things that I'm doing. Follow more of that. Follow positive quotes, funny videos. I get loads of McIntyre on my Facebook because Facebook has learned that I like Michael McIntyre and Graham Norton because they make me giggle. Okay, Facebook will learn, here's the interesting part, Facebook will learn what you like. So if you're getting a lot of the same people that trigger you, it's because you're somehow unconsciously drawn into what they're talking about, but you know it's not healthy for you, so I would encourage you to pull back. Okay, got a seed in my mouth. Where's that from? A shake earlier. Yes, I was the M&H story. Why is mental health so important in the workplace? Well, mental health is so important in the workplace because you can have a team of 5, 20, 200 or 1,000 people. If you end up with a team of, let's say, 200 people, and at any one point a percentage of those people are experiencing some form of unhealthy mental health, then that is going to affect the overall morale of the workplace, but also affect productivity, which sounds a little bit harsh as I say it, but you know, we go to work so as we can produce and so as we can keep the economy going. So when we value our team members, they feel valued, they do their job well, and everybody's good. It's like win, win, win. I think when you deliver, I read somewhere that for every pound spent on well-being in work, there's a 3 times return on that in terms of staff turnover, mental illness, and productivity. A 3 times return. For every pound spent, there's a 3-time return. So that's why it's really, really important. And we might think that mental health is an individual's responsibility, which it is, and I want everybody to take responsibility for their own mental health. When we're in a workplace, there is a duty of care there. by employers as well. This is my last question, so I'm really hoping that you've got some questions for me after this. What is the difference between mental health and mental illness? It's a great question. Thank you for asking that, for the person that wrote in. Mental health is something we all have, and in the same way that we all have physical health, we all have a physical health, we all have mental health. Mental illness is poor mental health. Basically, it's a varying condition from being very, very low to being very, very anxious to having bipolar, schizophrenia, all of the absolute plethora of mental illnesses that we can have. But mental health is something that we all have. Okay. Ben has put, going on a perch tonight. Then the good old Book of Faces, but it can become very addictive. It can. It's like someone was telling me about. Is there an app? I don't. Was it TikTok? Someone was talking about today. I was doing a wellbeing session today, and someone was talking about TikTok. And I'm sure on TikTok you can set an alarm. Whereas if you've been on it for 30 minutes or more, it will set the alarm and it will let you know that you've been on it for more than 30 minutes, which I think is really good. I would say anybody spending 30 minutes on TikTok might, trying to be really kind here, 30 minutes on TikTok? How have you got so much time to spend 30 minutes on TikTok? Oh my goodness. That's like crazy, but it is definitely addictive. I absolutely agree with that. What time are we at? We are 6 minutes out. I'm going to go in a minute. I'm going to go. So next week, we are looking at rolling out of lockdown in a really, really healthy way. And the week after, I want from you, please do this. I want from you what your highlights have been. Well, mention your name. I don't need to mention your name, but I'd like to know what your highlights have been over the last 6 months. And next week, I'm going to tell you how many shows we've done. We started in October, so it's going to be for October, November, December, January, February, March. I'm going to guess about 20 shows, but I will tell you next week. I'm going to count them up. Okay, so let me know what you want on the very last week. The last week is not the last week of March, it's the week before. It's the Wednesday before the clocks change. I'm aware that once the clocks change and we have Easter right there, that people aren't going to watch anyway, and I think it's a really good time for me to dip back and let you beautiful people get on with your lives. Okay. Yeah, I know. I know what you're meaning, Ben. Are you going to do the unfollow? I absolutely agree with that. So tidy up your Facebook walls. I'm going to go. I'm going to find my end frame, which is just there. I'm going to wish you an absolutely wonderful week. I'm back tomorrow morning, which is Thursday at 8:15 tomorrow morning. We are looking at rolling out of lockdown for children. So a few tips on helping children rolling out of lockdown. And then I'm back on Friday and Saturday, and then I'm back in next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Okay, have a wonderful week. Thank you for your communication. Thank you for your feed here. You are amazing people. All right, I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.